Yo, we ready?
Yeah, let's do it. We're ready.
Let's go.
We're ready.
We're ready.
Drop date, episode 2
Episode
With-
3.
with a guest.
Oh, with a guest. But it's episode 2 with a guest. It's episode 3.
2 with a guest, 3
Yeah.
overall.
Okay.
Right.
Brilliant start.
Me and Reese as per usual. And our guest today, he doesn't really need any introduction. He's the king of the intros. I shouldn't really be doing this.
I'm going to attempt to do it for the...
Okay, please.
It's
FD from there. You know!
it's FD from the Uno. FD, welcome to the Drop Date podcast.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it. I'm excited. It's a good little setup, you know what I'm saying? Feeling kind of bougie in here. You know?
Yeah, we get good feedback with the location. So if nothing else, we got that going for us.
Yeah. Something to be proud about, you know what I'm saying?
And we decked it out with more shoes this week.
Yeah.
Some heat.
Yeah.
Some heat in the background.
We'll probably get stuck into there's some talking points back there, so
Yeah, that's what.
100%.
we maybe talk about one or two.
Okay.
But first of all, I guess we should start at the start.
Mm-hmm.
FD, tell me, how did it get going? The FD we see before is now.
I grew up around a lot of boys, a lot of street boys. They used to love football and other things, but I was always in love with like fashion and music. So I'm a very big student to the game in terms of I would watch like all rapper interviews and designer interviews and documentaries and shit. But the one thing for me was Tumblr. Like I was in love with Tumblr, and it was like the best time for fashion in my eyes.
When you say Tumblr, were you like just saving things from Tumblr?
So I was just on it every day.
Okay.
So this was like, this was probably.
Did you have your own page?
I had my own page.
Okay.
It was called Fab Decena.
Is it still up?
I don't know.
Okay.
It probably is.
'Cause funny you say that. I use Tumblr all the time.
Yeah, still now.
Yeah, still now.
I didn't even know.
I go on it every day.
Yeah, I think it's probably still up
Because
there.
it's kind of almost like the ultimate like mood board for seeing like things you're into.
And I think people don't realize it was that.
It was,
before.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Pinterest was around the same time,
It was definitely pre Pinterest.
and like Insta and all that. But it was like, in my eyes, it was like the perfect time for me to find something like that, because like I would just. This is what I used to do. I'd be at home if I wasn't playing Modern Warfare 2 or like fucking FIFA 09 or something, 08, whatever it was at the time. I would be listening to like an interview on one tab and I'd be on Tumblr on the other. But this was the time, it was such a good era, bro, because I just remember being broke and seeing all these things. So this is when I found out about Bape, BBC, Supreme, fucking
What year would this be?
Pyrex. This is probably 2012.
Okay.
It's probably like
Yeah,
2011 onwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like Supreme Air Force Ones. Remember when they did the camo canvas
Yes.
one? Like this era and
Yeah.
like all the naked girls with the Nike swoosh over there.
Yeah.
And, like waterfalls with a Nike swoosh. Pyrex. What else was big back then? I can't think off the top of my head.
BBC.
Yeah, BBC. And then because of all that, I would go back and watch shit on Nigo and
I got you.
Pharrell and like, then you start seeing Louis Vuitton Kanye's.
Yeah.
And like obviously the Bapesters and
Yeah.
all this. And but then it also
Jaspers.
yeah. And
For those that don't know the Louis Vuitton
Yeah.
Kanye shoe.
is it called
It's
the
called
Jasper? Yeah.
And the
And
famous one is the grey on the pink sole, right?
Isn't Jasper? It's named after one of his friends.
Ivy and Jasper the barber.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then didn't he get Nike shit? Because I've watched bare shit on him as well. He ended up doing like bare consulting for Nike and like,
Okay. I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Anyway, and like Murakami and like all these artists and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I also found out about A$AP
I
Rocky,
got you.
Schoolboy Q, Kendrick before he was Kendrick.
Yeah.
So him and Abs in the start, Ab-Soul was better than Kendrick in my opinion.
I think I was in like Big Sean and Cuddy.
Yeah, like
and
yeah.
all those mixtapes.
I never liked
crazy.
Cuddy, respectfully. I think he's good, but he's not been my style. But
Yeah.
I love Big Sean and like
Yeah.
this
hear
was
you.
like Tiger and Chris Brown, fan of a fan era. But it was such a good time because you're young, innit? You're impressionable. You see all these things. But the funny thing is, I grew up outside of London, so I grew up in Crawley, West Sussex, and I'd see all this shit, and I'll be like, you can't get that in the UK. Until I went to college.
A lot of international traffic coming through.
So I was like, oh, you can't get this in the UK because I never went London or whatever. And then I went to college in a more richer area in West Sussex. and all these little white boys had Pyrex shorts and Bape hoodies. And I was 17 in this fucking huge house, and the kid, I went into one side of his house, and in one of the cupboards, this guy had Pyrex, everything, Pyrex shorts, you know, the big long shorts with the numbers on it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is how the other side live. But yeah, man, I'm trying to speed it up, but obviously I grew up not having money. You know, I'd buy a lot of stuff on like sale, shoes or whatever. But I think the main thing that got me into collecting and sneakers in general, I went to Chicago. Shout out my guy Shumba. I went to Chicago with my guy, his family. His like mum's friend worked for Virgin, so we ended up flying to Chicago for like 3 days. I worked at JD Sports, and then I quit because I got scouted for modelling. But I worked there. I saved up like £500. The flights, we flew business class. It cost me like £100. We were there for like 3 days, 5-star hotel. It cost me like nothing. And I bought Flu Game Jordan 12s in the Chicago store, downtown Chicago, last size in my size. And that shoe was the reason why I started collecting.
That was the
catalyst.
ground zero shoe.
It's funny you say that, because obviously we had Franklin, King of Trainers, on before. And as much as you're like a lot younger than a lot like Franklin, the story's very much the same.
About America. Yeah, because I know Franklin quite well, and I've listened to his interviews and stuff, and he always talks about going to America, bringing shoes back. So Shumba, my guy Ash, who I grew up around, I never want to say it because I don't want to give him the satisfaction, but I can't lie, he was probably the reason why I started getting into fashion a lot more, because him and his pops and their family, they would go to Florida a lot.
Yeah.
And this is why we need to teach the next generation, because they don't realize that outlet stores in America,
They got heat.
They got so much heat.
Yeah.
And like, I was big on like Ralph Lauren tracksuits and like Calvin Klein tracksuits.
Sean John as well.
Yeah, sure, bro. But even obviously, I can't lie, growing up, 50 Cent was my idol. So like Rockaware, that era, G Unit, you know, like the
Did you have the Reeboks?
I didn't, but I just got recently the S. Carters.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
brand new.
Nice.
Yeah.
Brand new S. Carters. So that era I loved, but I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
Until you're like 13, 12, 13, you're seeing like all these
Wait,
mood boards and shit. You're
It's
like,
funny. It was exactly the same for me.
yeah, because I think for me, like I said, I didn't really have money growing up. So, I wasn't really dripped out or whatever, right? But then I think when I went to Chicago, you know, like all the street brothers in my area, they would wear like Trueys, like True Religion, and they would wear like G-Star, like jeans and denim and diesel denim and shit, and like a lot of Echo. I think it's funny because a lot of people,
I had a mad Echo.
when they talk about, I love
loved
Echo.
Echo. I also loved Academics.
Yeah,
and LRG.
see, I
Those three were
I
big
don't
for me.
remember that in my childhood, but Echo tracksuits, they really stood out for me because, you know, Nike, and it's easy to say Nike, but for me, the thing that I loved the most was all the trap brothers in Echo. And what I was saying to you off camera, like Shumba, my guy, because he was going to America a lot, he was doing it at Visu like when we were like 10,
Yeah.
like 10, 11. And it was just like, it was like nothing. It was just like wearing like Slazenger bottoms. But like, we didn't realize that back in the day. But then obviously as I got older, you know, Rockaway I love, Fubu I love. But Echo 100%. But I think, when I was 2016, I would have been around 17. I went there and I remember going into the True outlet and buying so much True Religion, and it was like £40. And I was like, this is heaven. Like, I need to show people that America is the best place for fashion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because everyone's always asking, like, what do you think is better, UK or America? But it's America by far, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've got a big love affair with that place.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and that all stems from holidaying as a kid.
Yeah,
Fat Farm.
Fat Farm.
We didn't even shout them out.
Fat Farm, serious. But Rockaway, I think Fubu for me, I think Fubu, Echo.
I think Fubu was one of the originals.
Yeah. Fat Farm is fire though, but they did, yeah, man, good time.
I had some mad Echo stuff, man.
Echo's so fire, man.
I had like the dog tags with the
cold.
watch in the other tag. And
Cold. See, I wish I could.
all sorts.
I wish I was rocking that when I was younger, innit? But I just wasn't.
I was probably rocking it at an age way too old to be rocking it. But there we
But
go.
I would rock it now though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I probably had no right rocking it, to be fair.
but I think also from young, I was never really
Rarely entertained wearing sneakers with that stuff. It was always Tim's.
or like hard bottom shoes,
yeah.
like weird, like
Yeah,
plimsolls. Like I remember people would like the plimsoll era was heavy, man. Like people would wear like big boot cut jeans with plimsolls and like. But I think for me when I was younger, I never really. Obviously, I grew up in the UK, so you know we see a lot of TNs, Air Max.
Yeah.
You know they were cool. You know like the 110 thing, it was cool, but and like. There was certain silhouettes and shoes that really resonated with me, like the Air Trainer. We were saying that off camera, or the Trap Brothers that wore the Air Trainer. I was like, this is so fire, until I could afford them, and I was like, I did so much mileage in that. I think they're called the Pink Berries or it was
Viatex.
like, nah, they're like dark grey and like dark pink Air Trainer with the strap. I forgot what they're called. It's like Pink Berry
With the
or
strap
something.
on the front of the foot.
Yeah.
Air Trainer 3.
I did.
Or the SC, they call it.
SC, yeah.
Trainer
But I
3.
did so much mileage in them, and like
Little token
Scream
as well.
Green, Hirachis.
Yeah.
I did so much mileage in them, like. But I think when I was younger, because I was on Tumblr, it was very Jeremy Scott,
I got you.
and it was like crazy shoes like that. I was like, and this was like, what are they called, Future Margellas, and like,
Yeah.
you know the ones with
the high one with a strap.
Yeah. It was like that era.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I grew up in
I love
the
that.
coolest era of
Yeah.
fashion.
I'm like, how old are you for reference?
I'm 25 now.
I'm 28.
Yeah.
So like, it's
so you
very
grew up
much
in
in the
similar
same
time,
era. Yeah.
You would have just been you probably would have been able to afford this shit.
I wouldn't say that, but
you know what I mean. You
yeah,
were
I hear
making
you.
money at
I
the time.
hear you.
innit? I
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yes,
So
same.
yeah.
But
But I just remember Jeremy Scott. Like I remember the Peso video.
yes. Oh.
And he's got the
He's
Supreme
on,
towel.
he's on the front of the bike with it. Yeah.
He's got the
Oh,
bone Jeremy
man.
Scott, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Have you ever
Like,
seen a picture of Rye with Jeremy Scott?
No.
Yeah,
There's a photo. I would love to meet Jeremy Scott. I mean, he's very controversial, but I would still love to meet him because,
I bet he's an interesting dude.
yeah, he's very interesting. I've studied a lot about him, but just like, how would it feel? Like, even Virgil, like, rest in peace, Virgil, but how would it feel to know that you, like, shifted fashion?
Yeah.
Like, the Pyrex era was but you had to live that, you know, you had to live that era. And it was just crazy. That's why, like, I would love to meet Nigo, because I think, like, for him, he's the epitome of streetwear to me.
I've got you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, James Jebba, right?
James
Supreme.
Jebba, yeah,
Yeah.
Supreme.
But-
yeah.
But without Nigo, there's no James, right? Technically.
Yeah.
Bape was before Supreme, right?
It was.
Yeah, well,
So it's like,
And then Stussy was as well.
you got
yeah.
Michael
And it's-
Koppelman and
yeah, and it's like
Sure,
without
Sure,
Pharrell, without Nigo, there's no Pharrell.
Yeah.
So-
he kind of paved the way for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, these things, you know, it's part of me,
Like
innit?
as sad as it sounds for like a grown ass man to, I'd love to meet James Jebba.
Yeah, so would
I'd
I,
love that.
of course, yeah, so would
even
I.
even Sean Stussy, even though he's been removed for the brand for a very long time,
Yeah.
just to be like give him his like flowers.
Well,
in
you know, I
person,
see
it'd be
something
nice.
the other day where one of Kanye West's exes found the original drawings of the college dropout bear,
Okay,
and I was just thinking, like, you literally have gold.
that yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
that alone changed so much, you know, like the Murakami, like that whole, like, it's just mad to think somebody can come up with an idea and it's like spoken about forever.
and
Yeah.
iconic.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I truly felt in that time, like the Tumblr era felt like, and I knew that would inspire like a generation. And I was one of them. So, yeah, man.